Chapter 4, Connective Tissue Proper. Connective tissue is a broad category that includes tissues like bone, fat, and blood, as well as tissues that connect the top layer of the skin, or epithelium, to the rest of the body. These tissues provide structure, store energy reserves, and transport materials throughout the body. Each of these different connective tissues vary widely in both their appearance and their function, yet they do have some common components. The three common components are specialized cells, extracellular protein fibers, and a fluid called ground substance. Together, the extracellular fibers and the ground substance are called the matrix, and this matrix surrounds the specialized cells. We saw in epithelial tissue that cells made up the bulk of the tissue, but with connective tissue, the matrix typically accounts for most of this type of tissue. Connective tissues occur throughout the body, but are beneath the surface of the epithelium and are never exposed to the outside environment. Many connective tissues contain blood vessels, and many connective tissues contain sensory receptors that detect pain, pressure, and temperature changes. There are three general categories of connective tissues: connective tissue proper, fluid connective tissue, and supporting connective tissue. In this segment, we will concentrate on connective tissue proper. Connective tissue proper contains a syrupy, viscous ground substance with up to 3 different types of extracellular proteins and a variety of specialized cells. Fibroblasts and fibrocytes are 2 of the cell types that are permanent residents of the tissue. Other cells, such as macrophages, mast cells, lymphocytes, plasma cells, and microphages, are not permanent and will migrate to tissue that has been damaged and aggregate or cluster there to help with repair. The number of cells and cell types at any given moment depend on the condition of these tissues. Fibroblasts are one of the 2 most abundant permanent cells of connective tissue proper. They produce the proteins that form the extracellular fibers. Fibrocytes are the second most abundant cell in connective tissue proper, and they will differentiate into fibroblasts. They help to maintain the fibers of this tissue. Adipocytes are commonly known as fat cells. Each cell has one large lipid droplet that takes up almost the entire cell. This lipid droplet can be used as an energy source. Note, the appearance of the adipocyte looks like a class ring as the nucleus is pushed to the side of the cell to make room for the lipid droplet. The mesenchymal cells are stem cells that are found in many connective tissues. These cells respond to local injury or infection by dividing to produce daughter cells that differentiate into fibroblasts, macrophages, or other connective cells. Macrophages are large cells that are scattered throughout the matrix. These cells are scavengers that engulf damaged cells or pathogens that enter the tissue. The name macrophage means big eater. When macrophages engulf damaged cells or pathogens, they become stimulated and release chemicals that attract large numbers of additional macrophages and other cells involved in tissue defense. These macrophages can be either fixed or free. The fixed macrophages stay in a tissue for long periods of time, whereas free macrophages migrate rapidly through the tissue. Macrophages provide a frontline defense until other cells can be recruited to help against the attack of pathogens or in the repair of tissue. Mast cells are small and mobile cells that are most common near blood vessels. Inside the cytoplasm of the mast cell contains granules. These granules contain chemicals called histamine and heparin. Histamine and heparin are released after injury or infection and stimulate local inflammation. You've heard of antihistamines that are medicines to combat the effect of histamine and are used to reduce the inflammatory effect of the common cold. Lymphocytes are cells that travel through the connective tissues as they migrate throughout the body. They are found in increased numbers wherever there is tissue damage. Some lymphocytes develop into plasma cells that will produce antibodies that defend the body against disease. The microphages are phagocytes that move through connective tissues in small numbers. When an infection or injury occurs, the chemicals released by the macrophages and the mast cells attract numerous microphages to the site where they will engulf debris and pathogens. Melanocytes synthesize and store the brown pigment melanin. Melanin gives the tissue a brown color and helps to protect the nuclei of the tissues against radiation from the sun. They are most abundant in the skin, where they help to determine skin color. They are also abundant in connective tissues of the eye and the deeper layer of the skin. In addition to these specialized cells, connective tissues contain three types of protein fibers: collagen, reticular, and elastic. Fibroblasts produce all three of the fibers by secreting the protein subunits that make up these proteins. Fibrocytes are responsible for maintaining these fibers. Collagen fibers are long, straight, and unbranched. They are the most common fibers in connective tissue proper. Like a rope, collagen fibers contain a bundle of proteins that wind together. This fiber is flexible, but stronger when pulled from either end. Tendons connecting muscle to bone and ligaments connecting bone to bone consist almost entirely of collagen fibers. They can withstand tremendous forces. Uncontrolled skeletal movements are more likely to break a bone than to snap a tendon or ligament. Reticular fibers also contain protein subunits, but the fibers are arranged differently from the collagen fibers. Reticular fibers are thinner than collagen fibers. They are arranged into a branching, interwoven framework that is tough yet flexible. Like a network of fibers in a cloth, they are able to withstand forces applied from many directions. The interwoven network is called a stroma. This stroma helps to stabilize the functional cells called parenchyma of organs such as the liver. Reticular fibers also stabilize the positions of nerves and blood vessels within organs. Elastic fibers contain the protein elastin. These fibers are branched and wavy. They stretch and then return to their original length. The elastic ligaments of the spine contain numerous elastic fibers. These ligaments connect the vertebrae of the spine together and allow you to bend and return to standing without damaging these ligaments. Lastly, the ground substance of connective tissue is a syrupy fluid that fills the spaces between the cells and surrounds the tissue fibers. In connective tissue proper, the ground substance is a clear, colorless, and viscous fluid. The fluid is syrupy because of the proteoglycans and the glycoprotein. Ground substance is dense enough that bacteria has trouble moving through it, like swimming through molasses. This makes it easier for the phagocytes to catch up to the bacteria and destroy them. In the next segment, we will discuss the different types of connective tissue proper that include loose connective tissues and dense connective tissues.